Hello everyone and welcome. Today we re-embarking on a journey through one of the most influential stories ever told, the life of Jesus as recounted in the Bible. This isn't just a historical narrative. It's a story filled with profound moral guidance, a message of love, and a beacon of hope that has guided countless lives for over 2,000 years. From a humble birth to world-changing teachings, from incredible miracles to the ultimate sacrifice, the life of Jesus offers a timeless message for all of humanity. So, let us explore this remarkable journey together and uncover the lessons that continue to resonate so deeply in our world today. Our story begins with what Christians see as a profound act of God's love for humanity. In the small town of Nazareth, a young woman named Mary received an astonishing message from an angel. She would give birth to a son, who would be the Son of God. This divine announcement set in motion a sacred journey that would start not in a palace, but in the humblest of settings. Mary and her husband Joseph traveled to Bethlehem, and with no room at the inn, Jesus was born in a stable and laid in a manger. This simple, unassuming birth is seen as a powerful symbol. It suggests that greatness and divinity can be found in the most unexpected and lowly places. Soon after his birth, the first visitors arrived. Shepherds who were watching their flocks by night were guided by an angelic announcement. At the same time, far to the east, wise men or magi saw a brilliant star in the sky and understood it as a sign of a newborn king. They journeyed for miles, following this celestial guide, to pay homage to the infant Jesus, bringing with them symbolic gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. The visit from both the humble shepherds and the scholarly wise men is seen as a beautiful foreshadowing of Jesus' mission to bring a message of peace and salvation to everyone, regardless of their status, wealth, or background. From the very beginning, his arrival was marked as an event for all of humanity. Fast forward about 30 years, the next pivotal moment in Jesus' life takes place at the Jordan River. Here, a prophet named John the Baptist was preaching a message of repentance and baptizing people as a sign of their commitment to God. Jesus came to John to be baptized, and as he came up out of the water, the Bible describes a truly extraordinary event. The heavens opened, and the Spirit of God descended upon him like a dove. A voice from heaven was heard, saying, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased." This moment, known as the baptism of Jesus, is profoundly significant. It marks the official start of his public ministry, a divine confirmation of his identity and the beginning of his mission to share God's message with the world. Following his baptism, Jesus began his ministry, traveling through the regions of Galilee and Judea. He wasn't a distant, unapproachable figure. Instead, he walked among the people, from small villages to bustling towns, teaching in synagogues, on hillsides, and by the sea. His core message was a radical call to a new way of life, a life centered on love, compassion, forgiveness, and righteousness. He taught through parables, simple stories with deep spiritual meanings that were easy for ordinary people to understand. But Jesus didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk. His own life was the perfect demonstration of his teachings. He welcomed the outcasts, ate with sinners, and showed kindness to those who were marginalized by society. He lived a life of humility, service, and unwavering devotion to God, setting an example for his followers to emulate. The ministry of Jesus was also defined by a series of extraordinary events that the Bible records as miracles. These weren't just random acts of power, they were signs that pointed to a deeper reality about who he was and the nature of God's kingdom. Imagine the wonder and awe as people witnessed the blind regaining their sight, the lame walking, and the sick being instantly healed of diseases that had plagued them for years. Jesus demonstrated power over nature itself, calming a furious storm with a single command and even walking on the surface of the water. One of the most famous miracles is the feeding of the 5,000. With just 5 small barley loaves and 2 fish, Jesus fed a massive crowd, and there were even leftovers. This act is remembered not just as a miraculous multiplication of food, but as a powerful symbol of God's abundant blessing and how a little, when given to God, can become more than enough. These miracles serve to authenticate his message and reveal him as not just a great teacher, but a messenger uniquely empowered by God. Among all of Jesus' teachings, the Sermon on the Mount stands out as perhaps the most comprehensive and famous summary of his moral and ethical vision. Delivered on a mountainside to his disciples and a large crowd, this sermon contains the core principles of a Christian life. It includes the Beatitudes, a series of blessings for the poor in spirit, the meek, and those who hunger for righteousness. Here, Jesus gives some of his most challenging and revolutionary instructions: love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. He urges people to go beyond the letter of the law and focus on the purity of their hearts. He teaches the importance of forgiveness, humility, and complete devotion to God over worldly possessions. At the absolute center of this sermon, and indeed his entire message, are the concepts of mercy and love. For centuries, these teachings from the Sermon on the Mount have formed the bedrock of Christian morality, challenging followers to live up to a higher, more compassionate standard. As his life drew towards its conclusion, Jesus gathered his 12 disciples for one final, intimate meal, which we now know as the Last Supper. This wasn't just a farewell dinner, it was a deeply symbolic and instructional event. During the meal, Jesus took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." He then took a cup of wine, saying, "This cup that is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood." In this simple act, he established a sacred ritual, communion, asking his followers to remember his sacrifice and the new relationship with God that it would make possible. He also gave them a new commandment, to love one another just as he had loved them. It was a final, powerful message of unity, loyalty, and remembrance. The events that followed the Last Supper are a story of betrayal, injustice, and immense sacrifice. Jesus was arrested, subjected to a series of unfair trials, and wrongfully accused. Despite being innocent, he was condemned to die by crucifixion, one of the most brutal forms of execution in the Roman Empire. According to the Bible, this act wasn't a tragedy of circumstance, it was a purposeful sacrifice. Christians believe that Jesus willingly laid down his life, bearing the weight of humanity's sins, to bridge the gap between people and God. His final words from the cross, including "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do," are seen as the ultimate expression of love and mercy, even in the face of unimaginable suffering. But the story doesn't end in the darkness of the tomb. This is where the central hope of the Christian faith is found. 3 days after his crucifixion, some of his women followers went to the tomb to anoint his body, only to find the great stone rolled away and the tomb empty. Angels appeared and announced the incredible news: "He is not here, he has risen." Over the next several days, the Bible records that Jesus appeared to his disciples, proving to them that he was alive. This event, the resurrection, is the cornerstone of Christianity. It is seen as God's ultimate victory over sin and death. It transforms the cross from a symbol of defeat into a symbol of triumph. For believers, the resurrection represents new life, the promise of eternity, and the irrefutable power of God's love. It is the ultimate sign of light after darkness, a message of renewal and hope that is celebrated as the most important event in the Christian faith. So, the life of Jesus, as told in the Bible, is a comprehensive journey from a manger to an empty tomb. It's a story that continues to shape the lives of millions, if not billions, of people around the globe. The core themes that run through his life and teachings: unconditional love, radical compassion, unwavering patience, a deep sense of justice, and the power of sacrifice are as relevant today as they were 2,000 years ago. Whether viewed as a moral guide, a divine messenger, or the Son of God, his message remains a timeless and powerful reminder of our capacity for kindness, forgiveness, and hope. It's a call to live a life of purpose dedicated to loving God and loving our neighbor. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of the life of Jesus. We've only scratched the surface, of course, and there's so much more depth to uncover. If you found this video insightful or inspiring, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more content like this. We'd also love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care.